So without further ado, guys, I will mention I've done well betting these fighters in the past, especially Amanda Lemos. Very profitable. I made a lot of money on the Jessica Andrade fight. I had Andrade many ways, including by sub plus 600 in that fight. So I'm excited to talk about this main event. I think that, Virna Jandiroba is a woman that doesn't always get her due because, she's not the most marketable fighter. However, on the other side, Amanda Lemos, she's gotten the big opportunities. She's been towards the mountaintop in this division. She's fought for the title and she's looking to earn her way back. She's not a young woman, so she's here to really make a statement. And I think that we should have an interesting main event on our hands. So without further ado, guys, let's break it down. We got Amanda Lemos. She's coming into this bout 14-3-1 as a professional. And when I'm looking at her UFC record, 8-3, pretty exemplary. You look at the losses on her record as well. Zhang Weili, one of the top pound for pound women in the sport. We've got Jessica Andrade, a former UFC champion, fought at multiple weight divisions. Obviously, her best work has been done in this strawweight division, which is where she was able to defeat Amanda Lemos. And like I said, I bet heavily on that outcome. And then Amanda Lemos lost to Leslie Smith back in the day. If my memory serves, yeah, indeed. That was a bantamweight fight. So Amanda Lemos, guys, started her UFC career up in the bantamweight division. Obviously, now she's at an optimal weight class at 115 pounds. She's very strong. She's very physical. What we know about her, she has rare power for women's MMA. And we could talk about that in all phases of the fight, right? She has 2 wins by submission, one against the karate hottie, Michelle Waterson-Gomez. And I know what you're thinking, Liam, Michelle Waterson-Gomez, she's clearly washed. True, but she's 9-4 career to the submission. So it's been difficult throughout the course of her career to submit her, and she's only been submitted twice in the UFC in a pretty lengthy career. So wanted to give that credit where it is due to Amanda Lemos. And then in addition to that, right, the rear naked choke that she got on Miranda Granger, if you guys go back and watch that, it's not the most technical jiu-jitsu maneuver you've ever seen. It's like a no hooks rear naked choke, but I've always said, it's not always about what's technical in fighting. It's about what's effective. And she's so strong. She gets the arm under the chin. She gets the other arm behind it. She just squeezes. And very quickly, without the hooks, without that much time passing on the clock, Miranda Granger goes stiff as a board. It was absolutely unbelievable. So Amanda Lemos, clearly very physically strong, but then you see the knockout power manifesting on the feet as well. We go back to that UFC record. She's 3-1 career to the knockout, and the loss was to Leslie Smith back at 135 via strikes. Otherwise, she's been the one who's been able to go out there and hurt women on the feet. Marina Rodriguez put her down in that fight. I had a big bet on Amanda Lemos in that fight as well. I actually had a big bet on Michelle Waterson-Gomez, right? Celebrate the wins, own the losses. I thought Waterson-Gomez was going to compete. I had Waterson-Gomez by sub, and the pure irony and pain of her getting submitted instead, that one will stay with me. That's what taught me to start betting these ends by instead of just the one person's method of submission, because you can open yourself up to more equity in that case. But speaking about the specifics, right? You look at her win-loss record. She's beaten the likes of Mackenzie Dern, Marina Rodriguez, Michelle Waterson-Gomez, Angela Hill, Montserrat Conejo Ruiz, Livina Souza, Minoki Inoue. I would say these are all women that are kind of outside the top 5 looking in, maybe Marina Rodriguez being the exception there. Mackenzie Dern has been on the fringe of that. Obviously, we're seeing Angela Hill in a better career form lately. But I think that when we're looking at, how this fight measures up, right? She beat Angela Hill. That was a very close fight. Then we look on the other side. Virna Jandiroba, she's lost to a certain caliber of opponent as well. And it's basically been the women that are superior in the wrestling and grappling phase have been the people that have gotten the better of Virna Jandiroba to this point in her career. You look at Carla Esparza, a wrestler by trade, a former champion. You look at Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Ribas, maybe a few of the only women in the division that would outrank her in terms of grappling credentials that have superior jiu-jitsu fundamentally. So this is a very interesting fight, right? On the other side, let's look at the win column for Virna Jandiroba. She is the more experienced professional, 20-3 as a pro in the UFC, just 6-3. So she doesn't have as many UFC fights, hasn't proven it on the ultimate proving ground as many times as Amanda Lemos, but still 3 losses, 6 victories, pretty similar record overall to Amanda Lemos. Then you look at Lupita Godinez, Marina Rodriguez, that's a common opponent between the two. Angela Hill, another common opponent between the two. Kanako Murata, I believe that was an armbar that broke her arm. And then she was, still trying to fight through it, but then eventually, realized that the arm was broken and that ended the fight. That's my memory of it. I'll have to go back and rewatch it. But obviously, that's the only TKO stoppage in her career. Otherwise, Virna Jandiroba is a sub decision machine, and particularly the submission. That's been her calling card in the UFC. They've been harder to come by, obviously. But when you look back, Mallory Martin, she submitted her. That was a short notice opponent change. She was supposed to fight Livina Souza in that matchup. Then she fought Felice Herrig. She submitted her in the first round as well. They give her Mackenzie Dern. I mean, they weren't doing her many favors in terms of, setting her up for a career of success with grappling. Then they give her Kanako Murata, who's supposed to be a wrestler. And unfortunately, Murata ended up not having very much to offer on the feet, and it ended up being a more difficult fight than she expected. So then you look at the Amanda Hebos fight. Hebos is a woman that is clearly very talented in the grappling. She was able to compete with Mackenzie Dern in that phase as well. Then you see 3-fight win streak right now for Virna Jandiroba, but she did go out for a knee surgery, guys, before her last fight. And I believe she called off the Tatiana Suarez fight. Yeah, so Jandiroba was supposed to fight Tatiana Suarez. Then she had a knee injury. She got a knee surgery. And now she's coming back to this fight. So that's a little bit of background before we even get into this stylistic dynamic. Now, for me, when I first considered this fight, the way that I felt in my gut is Virna is probably sub or bust here. And the reason I felt that way is I feel like Amanda Lemos has a lot of power on the feet. I feel like she's the more physical woman of these two by a pretty considerable margin. And I just thought that over the course of 5 rounds in a small octagon, Amanda would probably be able to find Virna Jandiroba's chin, because I also think Virna slows down over the course of 3-round fights, typically speaking. And I feel like Amanda Lemos has shown now that she can fight 5 rounds. And even when the going got tough, I was kind of surprised that Zhang Weili was never able to find the finish there. I had the ends by sub. So I was really hoping one of those women was going to get the job done there. But instead, Zhang Weili, just a dominant decision. We've already seen the bounce back performance from Amanda Lemos there taking on Mackenzie Dern. And she was supposed to fight Tatiana Suarez. So it wasn't like she was ducking tough competition. She was willing to take on biggest names, toughest challenges in the division. Unfortunately, Tatiana Suarez unable, to make it to that fight. So then Mackenzie Dern steps up on short notice and, looked a little bit like a lamb to slaughter in that fight. So made it the distance there, but took a lot of damage, absorbed a lot in that fight. So for me, I feel like Amanda Lemos, dangerous fighter, talented fighter. I'm looking at the Virna Jandiroba side. And, she's a little bit younger, but not by a significant margin. Both these women are up there in their 30s. Virna would obviously be a new title challenger, a new, kind of fresh face in the division, so to speak. But I don't know exactly what, her marketing value is, how she translates. I think the same could be said of Amanda Lemos, but her highlight reel potential is typically a little bit higher, and her style is more that the UFC likes to market, right? Going out there, trading big shots on the feet, kill or be killed in some ways, right? She can be clipped on the chin, and she can clip others on the chin. She really badly hurt Angela Hill in that fight that went the distance. If you guys remember in the first round, I think it was a front kick to the face. So they've had, an opportunity to roll out a lot of, interesting footage on Amanda Lemos, and they set up some easy fights for her early in her career. I just look at the way they match made her and the way that they've match made Virna, and I don't know that they've done the same favors to Virna over the course of her career. Shout out to Pepe in the chat. One of the sharpest guys out says Lemos is kind of hard to get a read on. She's old, but a power outlier. I tend to agree. And you've got a woman here in Lemos who used to compete at 135. So clearly, she's a big woman and she had to transform her body in order to get the right body composition for 115 pounds. I think that shows a lot of dedication. And after the title fight against Mackenzie Dern, I still thought we saw a great product from Amanda Lemos, but I will revisit the tape and see if my memory does deceive me, because obviously we forget a lot about these fights after they happen. Shout out to our guy, Real Fight Pick, says, all right, Liam, let's get into it. No screwing off. That's true. That's what we're getting into today. Cowboy says female Bilal will not be denied. He says, gonna watch fully in the AM, but getting some in while my dog pukes up a waffle. Hey, them dogs be out there getting some. Virna so slow and non-physical, hard to lay chalk on her here. I tend to agree with you. Lemos is the side, in my opinion, could get outed on the ground. In the stand-ups, he's going to smoke Virna, says my guy, MMA line mover, friend of the show. Yeah, I tend to agree, right? So thinking about this fight conceptually, I think that plus money on either woman is fine, right? They're both a little bit older. They're both a little bit up there. WMMA model says take the plus money and hope for the best. And when you're looking at the Virna Jandiroba bullish case, I feel like there's two bullish cases that you can make for Virna Jandiroba in this fight. Number one, she just exposes her on the mat. Listen, I bet the plus 600 submission prop on Jessica Andrade, and it looked free 99, right? It looked like a girl in her first day of, jiu-jitsu class, right? And she got caught in that head and arm, and she started reaching out to the stars, and, it looked like she was in a horror film. The look on her face, and that was not a great look. But then we see her most recent fight where Zhang Weili is, beating her every which way but loose and, looking for position after position, and ultimately was not able to close the show on Amanda Lemos. So I feel like we've seen some growth from her. Maybe that could still be exposed, though. So when I'm trying to put together the bullish case for Virna, it's, for me, she gets an early sub. She just exposes her on the mat. And by the way, people always say, well, can she get the takedown? I mean, Jessica Andrade didn't take her down, right? She just kind of bullied her into the clinch in the apex against the fence and got the easy submission there. Bing, bang, boom. Thanks for playing. It was pretty quick. And by the way, it looked like Amanda Lemos was starting to get the better of Andrade on the feet, right? And so I had a lot of bets on Andrade. I had the -5.5. I had Andrade inside the distance. I had Andrade by submission there. And I was like, whoa. Like, she's starting to get lit up a little bit on the feet. Hopefully she takes it to the ground, uses that jiu-jitsu black belt, uses the fact she's been training in the gi recently and exposes this girl like I hoped. And that's exactly what she did. But, that's obviously Amanda's point of weakness, right? She knows that she needs to work on that. As for Virna Jandiroba, her one win via strikes, right? Her one win via TKO is an arm break. So I think that when you look at her body of work, her striking is serviceable insofar as it leads to the takedown, insofar as it leads to the grappling. But absent that, I'm not sure that she has the tools to really hurt, scare, bother Amanda, back her up, get her respect. So I think that Virna would need to win some kind of close decision, or I think she would need to, dominate with top control. Or she would need to get the submission. So those are the bullish paths, I guess, that you could paint for her. And I think close decision isn't really a bullish path, right? So the two bullish paths is dominant top control throughout, which I don't really see as super plausible personally, or the submission. And I do think the submission is very possible. So if I was thinking about the Virna Jandiroba side before props come out and all that stuff, I'd kind of just be interested in where the submission market opens up, the early submission props for Virna. Let's say submissions in round 1 through 3. And then on the opposite side, I'm thinking about Amanda Lemos potentially winning this fight via knockout. I think, with 5 rounds of opportunity in a small cage, it's either going to lead to grappling or it's going to lead to Amanda landing some big strikes, I feel. And on the opposite side, what is Amanda's case for, a really bullish decision? I guess it would be she stuffs all the takedowns. She keeps it upright. She dictates with the jab and the footwork, and just keeps it up on the feet. And honestly, I'm not sure that I see that either. I feel like there will be points in this fight where Amanda gives up a takedown or maybe gets put in a bad situation against the fence, unless she knocks her out very early. So I don't feel like I would be comfortable laying chalk on either woman here. I think there's enough red flags on both of them for Virna Jandiroba. I just don't think she's well-rounded enough. I don't think her striking is all there. I think it's a lot of winging overhands and hoping for the best, shooting in on takedowns from far away. And I think that for Amanda Lemos on the other side here, she's a dangerous, potent striker, but it's not like she can't, tire out a little bit over the course of her fights in her own right. And it's not like she hasn't been exposed one time before in comical fashion, right? Where she's like reaching up for the stars and doing the scary movie face. So I think that those are the things that caused me to be bullish on plus money here, right? It's an angle I'm constantly looking for, but frankly, I can't make bullish enough a case for one woman against the other. My lean here is towards Amanda Lemos. I think she's a little more marketable. I think at 37, she's still a little bit more athletically potent. The knee surgery for Virna worries me coming into this matchup. And Lupi's kind of a career underperformer. I feel like Amanda Lemos has performed up to the par. And as an underdog is when I've looked at back Amanda Lemos historically, right? I bet on her against Marina Rodriguez. I think it was 2.5 units at plus 200. And she went out there and absolutely smoked her like a salmon. So for me, that's enough of a bullish case to say, hey, dogger pass for me here. But I do agree that Virna needs to be taken seriously on the mat. I think that in a pure jiu-jitsu match, she would be very competitive, if not favored to beat Jessica Andrade. So for those reasons, it feels to me like a dogger pass situation and waiting for the props if I'm on the Virna side. And that's the way I see it, guys. So main event is in the books. If you guys are enjoying the chat, go ahead and drop a like on this video for me. I really appreciate the support. Continue to drop your comments in the chat here, and we will address them as we get going on the first look. I don't have a guest on the first look except for the sharpest chat in the game, so I appreciate each and every one of you guys for helping make the show what it is. We got MMA Hedge Fund says, what's cracking, Liam? What a card we have here. This is where cappers earn their stripes. Brother, I am in need of a win here, so cheers to you. Let's get after it. I'm excited to get a win. He says, Lemos at plus money, got to be the side. Well, good to know we agree on that. Shout out to Aussie Fight Fan, says, what's up, Liam? And shout out to our guy, Glenbot, as well, says, good morning to Liam in the chat. Good morning to you, my brother, at 12:52 a.m. local time, just past midnight, but it's still a good morning here, brother.